Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up your ringside seat, get your hot cocoa, your candy canes, your popcorn, get everything you need, including Old St. Nick, because today we're looking back through the rearview mirror that was 2025.
Well, so what I'm bringing for you guys, I got fruitcakes all around. So I'll be sending you home with a fruitcake today. My production team, I got y'all all fruitcakes today. I'm not a fruitcake, so let's get it started.
All right. Well, if you do a fruitcake, look, I'll do a road cake.
All right. Well, then let's start breaking out the apple cider and the hot toddies then. Let's get it going.
Speaking of getting it going, we got to shout out our sponsor first thing on this Christmas episode that we are doing. We got to sponsor Blue Note Uncut.
Yep, we got a sponsor. That's our sponsor today because that was an actual wonderful Christmas gift we got from the production team.
There we go. So cheers to the happy holidays and the new year, sir.
All right.
Ooh,
wow.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's got some lip to it.
That's good. Spicy. 59.20% alcohol by volume.
Absolutely. And just for the listeners, in case they need to be sure, it is 10 a.m. on Tuesday this Christmas week, because obviously we can't record on Christmas Eve, can't record on Christmas Day. So it is Tuesday, the 23rd at 10 a.m. And yes, we did crack open the bottle for our sponsor, so y'all appreciate us out there.
But as Jimmy Buffett says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's drinking time. So, I mean, if we're going to do the podcast, we gotta supplement our sponsors. We got to make sure we bring all the energy. So, yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning, the Tuesday before Christmas, and we're in here for you guys. So we need y'all to show us the love.
All right, so we're going to look through the rear view mirror that was 2025. Going to look back at several topics as happened through the year. So we're going to kick things off with favorite match.
All right. Last episode of the year. Let's get her done.
Favorite match, obviously for me, because of the nostalgia factor, it had to be Cena versus AJ Styles.
Okay, I can see that.
They did move for move, nostalgia move after nostalgia move with John paying respect to all of, previous opponents in WWE, while AJ paid respect to previous opponents in TNA. It was fantastic. It kind of got me in the feels when you look at some of the moves that happened. But I mean, it started off fantastic before the first punch or first move was even thrown, with John doing that special intro for AJ.
Yeah, John went a little off script there. I mean, he went into business for himself, as they call it. Did his own thing, took control of the show for a moment.
Yep. The crowd down there in Australia, they were very receptive to how that all started off. They did everything that you could think of as far as move after move after move. It was one of those matches where you just didn't want it to end.
Yeah, I mean, they both came to play. I mean, AJ had his old school gear on. He was ready to go. John gave him the entrance. So, they understood the magnitude of the moment. They made sure to live up to it. Especially now here, and AJ's probably on his last year, or on his last cycle. It was definitely good to get it in before before they're both gone and we miss that talent. It was also good to get it, though, while they can still do it. It isn't like they're over the hill and they're just coming back to, throw on like a mini spot show, with the old slow moves like some of the other guys do. They both still got the moves and they can still do it at a reasonably high level. So it was good to get that for that last image. I definitely agree.
For John and AJ to still go at the ages that they are, first off, that is phenomenal, no pun intended, within itself. As Marky Mark sits here at 45, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, now granted, our bodies ain't trained for it.
No.
So, we're not 30 years dedicated into it. So, yeah, it's a little bit different. But nonetheless, I mean, you got to give the devil his due. If you've kept your body in shape to be able to still do that at a high level at this age, then yeah, more power to you. Get out there and knock it out, because I ain't doing it.
Yeah. The cool thing about that match too, though, is I was bagging on it as it was building.
Yeah, I remember.
I didn't like it.
Which I didn't. I mean, so for me, well, because again, and as we know, you're more storyline driven than you are in ring, but I'm kind of, I guess I'm more 50-50. Like I love the story to get to the match.
Right.
But when it's the right characters, I'm good to see just the match too, right? Like just putting those two guys in the ring, there wasn't a lot of story that needed to be told because we've got 10 years worth of story already told for us. It's already written. All you have to do is be a historian or, like we are, where you remember all that history and you're like, hey, to get these two guys to get one last turnaround, like, go ahead and give it all to me. So I didn't need a lot of story to go into it. I just needed to know those two guys, know their backstory, know how AJ came in a house of fire and said, I'm taking the house from John Cena, and that made the magic for me.
That's right, because that was the marquee when he busted that out in the WWE, the face that runs the place.
Yeah, that was because he won the title from John Cena, and that was his way of saying, hey, this is my house now.
Yep.
This is the house that AJ Styles built. Yep. SmackDown, he had all the monikers, but all of it was based on, I'm the indie guy, I'm the TNA guy, and I just came in here and took this whole place by storm and bested John Cena.
Yep. Speaking of besting John Cena, let's move on to your favorite match of the year.
Well, so I found it interesting when you said nostalgia. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What happened this year that was more nostalgic than John Cena versus CM Punk? Those two guys have been intertwined for almost 20 years at this point. When Punk came in 2006 in the WWE, he came in as an anomaly. He was AJ Styles 10 years before we got actual AJ Styles.
Right.
He was that indie guy that had built a reputation, that had made a name for himself, but nobody knew what all that meant. It was just a lot of blah, 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 because, it's just some guy. But he came in the same way. He took the company by storm and immediately started talking about, hey, I want the best. I want John Cena. I want to show you guys what a real wrestler is. And I mean, again, that was 20 years ago when he started that. And here we are on the back end of Cena's career, the very back end of Cena's career. We're definitely over the hump on Punk's career as well. He's on the back nine now too. And to get those two back together again, nothing said nostalgia more than that for me.
So, I mean, John went on record, on a couple of podcasts, and he was talking about how Punk is technically his wrestling soulmate.
Yeah.
No denying that anytime those two cross paths are in the same building with each other, there's magic that is just itching to be made. But for John and Punk to run this last program together, where they flipped it on each other because Punk was the face and John was the heel. John got a chance to cut a pipe bomb promo.
Yep.
And Punk got a chance to do the Thuganomics promo.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So it was cool to see both of those guys not only kill it in the ring, but kill it on the mic again as well.
Yeah. Well, so that's what you actually call coming full circle, right? I mean, at that point, they were, like you said, they had completely flip-flop roles, so they were able to give each other what they had done, 10 years prior. And, and it made for perfect magic between those two. But again, when you got your right dance partner, the performance is never going to be bad, right?
True.
So when and like John said, with them being, essentially wrestling soulmates, there was no way they'd get something bad. I mean, again, same as what you said about AJ, Punk's in that same age bracket too. He's him, John, me, all 48, right? So right. 47, 48, we're all in that window. So believe me, I know. But if you give me somebody that I've been dancing with or I've been going back and forth with for the last 10, 15, 20 years, whatever in the case, you make magic. That's why this podcast works so good. We've been talking wrestling.
It's true.
We've been on books for 3 years, but we've been talking wrestling since we met.
Yep.
I mean, so, we're at least 10 years into wrestling conversations. It was just 3 years ago that we wanted to bless everybody else with it. So that's just a thing.
You're welcome.
Exactly. But that's how it works, right? When you find that person that you're like, man, we're on that same wavelength as far as whatever this topic is. It's never going to come out bad. It can come out wonky. It can, depending on what creative gets thrown in there.
Right.
But when you got a guy like Punk and you got a guy like Cena, if you're creative, if you're Triple H, if you're Bruce Pritchard, if you're those guys, hands off, right?
Yeah.
You just fall back
just
and
let
say,
them run
you know
with it.
what? Here's where we would like y'all to get to. Y'all figure it out.
Yep.
That's a lot of work saved on me. That's a lot of work saved. You think Michael Hayes had to sit down with those two guys and hammer out a match?
No.
Come on now. You think Triple H and them you think they had to like spend night after night grinding in the creative room to come up with a story for those guys? Absolutely not. You let history write itself.
Yep.
All they had to do is say, hey, when do we want to put those two guys together? Oh, now? Great. Moving on. So the rest of it is fine. So yeah, for me, that was the match of the year because it was preordained. I mean, that was written in the history books hundreds and hundreds of years ago that those two titans would clash, and all they did was pay it off, and I think it was great.
It was also great to see the personal aspect of it as well. We've heard John come out and talk about, his attachment to the match was selfish, and it really wasn't even involving him. It was more involving the man Phil Brooks about being in Saudi and kind of a realization that kind of he had as far as like, hey, I said some things in the past maybe should have not been said.
Yeah.
And he apologized and there was some closure there with the fans over there in Saudi and with Phil Brooks. It was cool to see. I respect it. I think wrestling is starting to get to a point now where it's starting to do what it did in the 80s. It's transcending cultures.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and that's cool and everything because what happened in the 80s, it was that wrestling rock crossover.
Yeah.
That
like
kind of
the MTV crossover that
thing.
really exposed. And then, you also had like Hogan getting on the cover of Sports Illustrated and all that. So it broadened its audience. It cast a wider net and more people were drawn into it. That's why the business grew the way it did. I mean, not to go off onto too far of a tangent, but again, 10 o'clock in the morning, having a few drinks, we're going to wander off every now and again. But in the 80s, I mean, it was kind of frowned upon to be a wrestling fan. Like, it was like, it still had that carny stigma to it.
Right. It was more of like you like that?
Yeah, it was like, you're a wrestling fan. Two guys dancing around in their underwear, you like that? And so, but
nobody complained in the 90s when it was the ladies.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So Tori Wilson, shout out to Tori Wilson. She posted that what was it, 15 years ago, whatever years ago today, she had her and Stacy Keibler had an eggnog match.
Right.
And Tori posted on her Twitter and said, and you guys wonder why I'm a Hall of Famer. I watched the little clip of that eggnog match. I have no wonder why either one of them are Hall of Famers. They deserve everything they got because that match was great. 5 stars. Nelson would have gave it 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
In the Tokyo Dome. So it's cool to see, those moments that are happening again, where wrestling is starting to transcend culture. Look, in this world of entertainment, it doesn't matter what the form of entertainment is. You like what you like. It doesn't matter, if you're a nerd, a comic book nerd, stuff like that.
Those things don't carry the same stigma anymore.
Stuff like that is starting to break down, and it's one of those things where, look, if you're this uber athlete and you paid millions of dollars to be, on an NBA team, who cares if you like John Cena or The Undertaker?
Yeah, at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters.
None of it matters.
Luckily, that's happening all across sports too. I mean,
right.
You're starting to see, things that were considered weird. And I mean, we're older, we're in our late 40s, so we might still consider things weird like that, but you're starting to see it become more acceptable. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams paints his fingernails every week. You ask me, like on a face-to-face thing, hey, what do you think about that? I'm like, hey, it's probably a little weird, right? But younger culture doesn't see it that way. They're like, whatever, let him do him. And I'm all for that. Let him do him because it don't bother me, right? So I couldn't care less. I saw him with his painted fingernails out on the town the other night with 3 supermodels. He's doing something right. So at this stage of the game, you ain't gonna get no shade out of me for it. I don't care what that man's doing because again, if he's out on the town with 3 supermodels pouring out of a limousine with him, he's doing something damn right. So give me every bit of what he's got. Give me, if I need that Riz, give me the Riz. So.
All right, moving on to our next topic, our favorite wrestler for 2025. Again, sticking with the theme, I'm going to stick with John Cena. This is a departure for me because, as I've said in many episodes this past year, I've not been the hugest John Cena fan in my lifetime. Really didn't care for the hustle, loyalty, respect, the uber babyface. Really, it never really clicked with me. But this year, and it's not so much the heel turn, but it was the fact of John's got more than we thought John had.
Yeah.
John just got pigeonholed by VKM. That's what I think.
Right. He was put in a role. He was meant to fill a role, and he filled the role.
He filled it.
He did what he was required to. Because, I mean, we talk about, Cena, the 5 moves of doom and all.
Right.
What about Hogan? The 3 punches, the leg drop, the big boot, and the leg drop.
The Hulk up.
It was the same thing. I mean,
Correct.
Cena was built in the Hogan mold. It's
Correct.
just, it translated different because the world was different, 20 years later between Hogan and Cena. But Cena was cast out of the Hogan mold. I mean, Vince made a new Hogan with Cena. He got what he wanted. He went for he knew what he needed. He got what he wanted, and it parlayed into a hell of a career for John Cena. But the fact of the matter is, John could have done a lot more, but he didn't need to. We've said it on this podcast plenty of times. Less is more, right?
Right.
A lot of times you give us the bare minimum and you get the biggest payout, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Cena sat down and did a one-on-one with Cody Rhodes after his retirement, right? He was supposed to do our show immediately after that, but somehow or another our wires got crossed.
Yeah, Cody, you got in front of us, man.
Somehow or another Cody found his way in front of us. He used the backstage pool. We know it, politics. Yeah, backstage politics. But it's okay. We understand. We get it. We got him coming, though. So, just keep listening. John's coming soon, I'm sure.
Hopefully it ain't from that same producer that brought us Sailor Twift.
No. So yeah, we won't do that. So that guy's been fired. He's been removed. That was our worst part of the year.
Yeah,
we'll recap our year next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, John said in the interview though, the basics of it is, there's so much more that can be done. Guys can do a triple moonsault, a triple double moonsault or whatever. And the old guys say, hey, slow it down. And then the young guys say, well, you say that because you're slow. Both parties are right. I mean, 2 things can be right at the same time.
Right.
John didn't need to do 75 moves to, become a 17-time world champion, right? That doesn't mean he couldn't.
True.
So what we were blessed to see is that he could have done a lot more. He just didn't need to. But when it was worth it, when it was meaningful, he did.
It was interesting though with John, as far as the heel turn and everything else, the promos that he cut. You could tell his acting career, those acting chops were paying off.
Absolutely.
But I think what I admire the most, just out of John Cena in this past year, you got to see the creative part and you got to see the willing to work without a safety net part.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, let's try this.
Yeah.
What have I got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, right. At this point, his legacy's cemented.
Let's try this.
There's nothing that's going to tarnish his legacy at this point. So it's like, hey, if it fails, fuck it.
Yep.
That's what John would say flat out. So I'm quoting him
John.
So that's our one curse for the week. But I mean, that's literally what John said a lot in that interview. And it's literally what the fact of the matter is. Whatever, at this point, hey, let's try some stuff. If it fails, who cares?
So, but on the flip side of failing, let's talk about your favorite wrestler that didn't fail.
So my favorite wrestler of the year is also the breakout wrestler of the year, right?
Correct.
We're here to talk about somebody that, out with the old John Cena. That's old news. We're going to talk about new school. We're talking about Oba Femi,
now
the ruler.
Now let's start this conversation off with something. So I gotta apologize for something.
Okay.
I gotta apologize for something. So we all talked up Oba Femi all year. We talked about Oba pre-Saturday Night's Main Event. We talked about Oba post-Saturday Night's Main Event. And we said the one thing that Oba needs to lose is that walk.
Yeah.
We did say that, right?
Little march.
Yep, little march. So what has become the TikTok sensation since Saturday Night's Main Event? Everybody doing the Oba Femi march.
Wow. So we're 0 for 2 on that.
Yeah.
So because we wanted Obafemi in the retirement match because we wanted to see him go over.
Yep.
Then we saw the reaction that Gunther got and how he got booed. We're like, ooh, misstep. We blew it.
We blew it.
We effed up on that one. Now, but then we followed it up with we doubled down on he's got to get rid of the March. It ain't going to work on the main roster. It's not going to be a thing. And apparently the whole world thinks we're wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
The memes about, the March, people going like me walking into doing my wife's honeydew list.
There you go.
Like just the whole I guess the machoism of it. Not the macho manism, but the machoism.
Oh, yeah.
but Oba as the breakout star and, as Frank's wrestler of the year here, I want to hope and wish for 2026 to be the year of Obafemi.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's the NXT champion. He's doing his thing down there. But let's be honest, right? When he was recruited, they saw bigger things in the future, right?
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and lean into that. I mean, Cody and John talked about it. They said, that guy rose to the occasion. He didn't falter. He didn't stumble. He brought everything he needed to wrestle the WWE champion on probably the biggest stage of the year. Let's be honest, right? More people are watching Peacock than we think. We think, well, everybody's watching WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, great. Everybody probably is watching WrestleMania. Of course they are, right? But on a Saturday night, there's a lot of people that have taken time out of their life to make a point to watch this show. And then it's John Cena's retirement match. It's his last match. He drew more eyes to that than WrestleMania got. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care what they tell us.
Right.
There's no way to tell me that more people didn't sit down and find a way to watch either live or on recording John Cena's final match. When they're watching that, what do they also get a treat to? Obafemi's essential debut to the world of wrestling. That was his platform to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I got. And he lived up to it. You can't discount that. He didn't get the W, but again, it's Triple H booking. Black guys ain't going over Cody Rhodes on Triple H booking. It ain't going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
No.
Not with Triple K at the helm.
Exactly. It ain't going to happen. But you got to have Cody Rhodes to kind of counterbalance it and say, well, let's at least give the guy an opportunity. Hell, Triple H is like, well, I'll give him a shot. He ain't winning, but I'll give him a shot. Got it. Okay, so it's just like Booker T back at WrestleMania 19 when he wrestled Triple H. Didn't get the W, but we won't talk about that right now. We'll let that ship sail. Nonetheless, the fact of the matter is, Oba had an all-star year. I mean, for what you can add, he was NXT champion for part of it. He lost it, disappeared, came back, immediately won it, and parlayed that right into a match with one-on-one with Cody Rhodes. That's an epic year.
He had some bangers with Trick. He had some bangers with Ricky.
Yeah. If you're on the NXT roster, if you're a Hall of Fame bound WWE guy, this is just a every other week occurrence for you. You know, wrestling in the main event on SmackDown, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But if you're an NXT guy, ain't no other NXT guy on the roster of NXT right now that can say they've wrestled Cody Rhodes on the biggest stage of the world in the world.
Yep.
That dude, there's a rocket attached to his ass right now. All they got to do is light it.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our favorite PLE of the year. My favorite PLE was the 2025 Royal Rumble. As we are approaching the Rumble,
yeah, we
2026.
Thank God we got to have something to talk about next week. What the hell?
So for the Rumble to kind of go down the way that it did, everybody thought that John was going to be the winner and go on to challenge Cody. Thought that's how he was going to get in.
Seems simple enough.
Seems simple, but when you go down to the last two,
were we wrong on that too?
We were.
God, have we had a bad year?
We've had a bad year, sir, with predictions.
So, wow.
The only prediction I felt like we were solid on the whole year was John's Saturday Night Main Event for his last match.
So we walked through that whole match. I felt like I produced that damn thing. Yeah. I think we gave Michael Hayes the night off that night because he was just like, you know what? Listen to this for 45 minutes. He played it. He's like, guys, handle it. They're like, okay, got it. Nailed it.
But for the final two of the Rumble to come down to John Cena versus Jey Uso, I was like, there's no way Jay's getting this. Like, there was no way.
Hold on, rewind. But we got to pause for a minute there. damn, that happened this year.
That happened this
That
year.
feels like eons ago that
Forever
Jey Uso
ago.
was like a main eventer.
Right.
Jay's a tag team guy now.
Tag team specialist.
Next week, he's starting the new year off wrestling for the tag titles. What the hell? Wait, are you telling me he was in contention for the world title and he found a way to best John Cena to get the main event of WrestleMania?
Look, they got one rocket. They
Oh.
took it off of Jay to put it on Oba. So
Well, then I'm
Sorry.
okay with that. I will accept that because, I mean, Jay's 100 years older than Oba. Oba's
Right,
27. He gets that rocket.
Yep.
Let's go.
but yeah, so for how that Rumble kind of wound up with John losing to Jay in that final second there, and then not only that, but the post show to the Rumble, you got to see John pull a conversation out at the news conference that don't happen anymore, by the way.
Yeah,
we got to
thank
see,
God for that.
we got to see him pull something
That's one
out.
thing we left in 2025, so we're in
with
2026. Let's never see that again.
But yeah, so the Rumble's my favorite PLE. What was your favorite PLE?
So my favorite PLE of this year involves my favorite wrestler of all time. That would be The Rock. And the last time we saw him was at Elimination Chamber 2025 alongside Travis Scott.
That did not work out.
So you're lucky we didn't have Performer of the Year, because had we done a category Performer of the Year, that was Travis Scott all day long.
God, we wait. No. See, I had to go with Jelly Roll.
Now, hell no. Jelly Roll got out to the ring too damn fast. He didn't appreciate his time in the entrance.
Oh,
Travis
true.
Scott knew how to appreciate his time in an entrance.
So
he took that Ric Flair walk down to
if,
the ring.
If they would have let him appreciate it as long as he wanted to appreciate it, he'd still be walking to
Yeah,
the
we'd
damn
still
ring.
be out there. But he took the Ric Flair walk to the ring. That man wooed halfway
wooed.
down. He spun around with the roll.
Wait. He's had two great entrances. Didn't he also smoke a blunt coming down with Jey Uso from the
So
crowd?
that was like a parlay entrance. He wasn't necessarily. I don't even know if he was supposed to be there. I think he was just in the crowd,
Right.
And he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna get in.
Right.
Yeah, he definitely did that this year. And I mean, and Jay, you can see Jay had the contact high next to him. 'Cause I mean, Jay was yeeting like
So did half that crowd
yeah,
apparently.
Jay was yeeting like an MF for that day. I mean, hell, them yeets were going fast, heavy and hard that day. But nonetheless, so all kidding aside, the start of that, that's where John Cena officially turned heel. That's where Cody Rhodes flat out said, "Rock, I'm not taking your deal. I'm not selling you my soul." And then John Cena immediately turned around and said, "Yes, I am selling you my soul," which we never got a payoff on. But that's neither here nor there, right? Those guys, as John said himself, those guys are out. We move on.
Don't worry about what would have been.
Exactly. So, and he also said, the only two guys that are never talked about what could have been in that is us two. And I'm like, well, I'm glad y'all two didn't, because me and my podcast partner, we done talked that shit
We
to
talked
death.
it to death.
Hell, we done talked it to death. Damn it, and we're still talking about it.
Still talking about it.
We're going to end the year
As
still
Chick
talking
said,
about
let's talk about it.
exactly what could have been.
What could have been.
That's next episode. When one day we'll revisit this whole thing, probably 10 years down the road, with y'all 10 million listeners and all that. We appreciate all of y'all, but we'll revisit this story and say what could have been. But we'll save that after Unreal and blah blah blah. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, that PLE, just because of what could have been what could have been that come out of it, is what makes it the PLE for me. Because at that point, I was starting to get those WrestleMania 40 vibes again. I was starting to get that Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth vibes. I was feeling all of that. It didn't pay off, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, right?
Right.
Just like WWE, we move along, we move past it. But unlike WWE, I still remember that, and I don't pretend like it doesn't exist no more. So I'm still going to reference it. But that moment, it gave me the shivers when I saw that. When I saw Cena turn heel, watching that happen, that gave me the shivers, because it felt like that's what we've been waiting for a millennia, and we're finally getting it. So that was the moment this year that, like I said, it sent the shivers up my spine, and I appreciate that.
All right, let's move on to our favorite story of the year. For me, I'm going to do a little departure. For me, the favorite story was the tag team, the Twisted Queens.
All right.
Bliss and Charlotte Flair.
Two hot blondes. I'll take that. Let's talk about it. Come on.
So
I don't even know what the story was, but hell, I know I can convert. I know I can contribute to this conversation. Let's go.
after the mess that was Charlotte Flair, after the fallout from the whole Tiffany Stratton match at Mania,
Yeah, we stumbled there.
That whole
Two other hot blondes though, but yeah, we had a little misstep there.
That whole thing went awry. Charlotte in Chicago got shaken to her core, so to speak, and fell all the way out of her promo. It was horrible, but
hell, she fell out of character.
So for her to be able to pick up and get herself into a storyline that actually got the fans from booing the crap out of her into actually cheering for her, that's amazing within itself. But it took a dance partner to be with her for that to happen, and that was Alexa Bliss.
You got to have the right dance partner.
And for them two, their personalities was really cool to see them play off each other. It was that whole, we're not friends,
yeah,
but we kind of
frenemies.
Are friends.
I love it. Frenemies are the best.
And they even had shirts that were not friends.
Yeah.
Into actually being one of the coolest women's tag teams that I've ever seen put together.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question. When Tiffany and Charlotte were paired together, who was the face, who was the heel?
Hard to tell.
Exactly. There was no way. Yeah. 1 week it was one way. The other week it was the other way. I mean, one promo basically flip-flop. We almost had a double turn come out of one promo, right?
Yep.
A whole world of nonsense happened in that because neither character was essentially established in that. And I think they just kind of mishmashed two wrestlers together and said, let's go have a match.
Yep.
That don't always work. When Alexa was paired with Charlotte, who was the face, who was the heel?
They both were faces.
Absolutely. But it was guaranteed. You knew. You said, you know what? We hated Charlotte Flair last week, but we love this combination.
Yep.
It's your dance partner.
Yeah.
When you're again, we go back to it. We talked about it 20 minutes ago, and we'll talk about it again. When you're paired with your right dance partner, magic happens.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Alexa have never wrestled one-on-one before. They were always on alternate brands back during their heyday. When Charlotte was the 14-time world champ, Alexa was the 6-time world champ, just on the other show.
Yeah.
They kept them apart for a reason because they were kind of, swirling around in the same water.
Right.
Well, when you put them together, it's magic.
What I look at their tag team, I compare their tag team to the Rock and Sock
Charlexa?
Connection. Charlexa.
Yeah.
I look at their tag team like the Rock and Sock Connection.
There you go.
What shouldn't have been turned into gold.
It's a mishmash but when you take two characters who have a great similarity, but enough to distinguish them apart, and you put them together, oh, hell, it's magic. It's like Charlexa, a name that sounds weird AF, but it works, right? Because you're like, hold on, I can see that. When you look at the letters and all that, you're like, it works itself out. It just kind of is what it is. But, as far as duos go, as far as storylines go, I appreciated their story because it was the story that actually made people cheer Charlotte.
Yeah.
Nothing else has ever. They've tried periodically over her 10 years.
To get her over.
They've tried to get her over with the fan. They've tried to turn her face many, many times. It's never worked. This is the one thing that worked, and it's gold.
She's a natural heel.
Yeah, I mean,
she's a natural heel.
So her personality, she's bigger than the other girls. She's more athletic than a lot of the other girls, and then she's got the pedigree that brings her in that says, "I'm better than you, and you know it." Wink, wink. But nonetheless, right? It translates over, but it's hard to look past that.
Right.
WWE, Triple H at one point, I remember him saying he wanted her to be the Hogan of the women's division because she had similar stature to Hogan. She had but she didn't have the charisma as Hogan.
Right.
But when you put somebody with her that pulls it out, now all of a sudden you see a different Charlotte. Yeah.
Yep.
And then after she dropped that deadweight Andrade, I mean, a lot of things were able to expose themselves too. So thanks for that.
All right, let's talk about your favorite story of the year, the John Cena retirement tour.
What else are we going to talk about this year? I mean, come on, our damn show today is brought to life by the John Cena retirement tour.
Y'all hear that, IWC? For somebody that said John Cena's last year has sucked, it was booked horribly. Was it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so yeah, you're not supposed to like every single thing that they do, right? And unlike AEW and the people that were saying that, let's be honest, they're AEW fans. Their promoter, Tony Khan, we talk about him, so we're not going to shy away from. He caters to the smallest fan base, the smallest section of his fan base possible, the internet wrestling community. The internet wrestling community, the IWC, is built up of maybe, I don't know, let's say 100,000 nerds on the online in their mom's basement bitching and complaining about everything that happens in wrestling. That's who they are, right? the millions and millions of fans that enjoy the product week in and week out.
And millions.
Exactly. They're excited for what they get on TV because they love the characters, they love the story, they love the brand. The 100,000 little bitches and moaners out there that are complaining about everything.
I thought you'd have turned into Gunther for a moment.
Whatever. Their entire job is to complain about something. So they're the ones that are complaining about, oh, the John Cena retirement tour sucked. Did we get exactly what we wanted out of that? Hell no, nobody did. But we got the best that they could give us with what they had to offer
in that tour.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. So me personally, I'll take it anecdotal. Did I want to see the whole, John Cena sold his soul to The Rock thing play itself out in its grand glory and end up in a match at Saturday night's main event with John Cena versus The Rock? Hell yeah, I wanted to see all that. It ain't what I got. But that doesn't mean I shit on the rest of everything else they give us. You still appreciate what they gave us because they gave us great stories. It was just different.
Yep.
So there's no way you're going to take that away and say that wasn't the best storyline of the year simply because they dedicated an entire year to it with the hits and the misses. They kept rolling with it to get to where we got.
All right, moving on to our last category. In my best Joey Styles impersonation that I can muster at 10 a.m. in the morning, the "Oh my God" moment of the year.
We're strong now. We're good to go. The whiskey. Hold on. How much you got left in your glass? Your glass is damn near empty.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I gotta tell them that they've heard it. I mean, throughout the episode, they heard the energy pick up and start rising. It's like Hogan with the 3 count, or John Cena with the 3 count.
I'm up over here.
The first 20 minutes, our arm dropped a couple times. That them last 10 minutes, our arm started shaking, and oh my God, the adrenaline's pumping, and we're bringing it now. So let's go.
Oh my God, moment of the year for me. The oh my God moment of the year had to be, it started off January 6th at the Netflix, the first Raw on Netflix. The fact that The Rock come out there and squashed his beef with Cody Rhodes. What the hell was that?
I mean, so I'll be honest, when that happened on Netflix and all that, I thought we were going to have a year of The Rock.
I was like, damn, we finally going to get Rock Cody at Mania. Like,
I mean, at that point, I didn't, the sky was the limit at that point. But they came out, like you said, they squashed their beef. And I'm like, damn, we're not going with Rock versus Cody. Maybe they're going to partner up or whatnot.
Yep.
And it looks like at least they had a great story going into that. Now we're going to need WWE Unreal to give us the behind the scenes on what happened.
We got Rock on McAfee just saying, "Hey, we don't have to have a match."
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he don't think they have to have a match, right?
Rock.
Now again,
you're wrong, son. You're wrong.
Now again, the IWC is that small minority, that 100,000 people. Every sign in the crowd, every arena they went to said that they wanted to see Rock versus Cody. That ain't the IWC talking. That's your fan base.
That's your fan base.
But, I digress. Things happen, and somehow or another, Rock lost 80 pounds. So the whole world's different
Rock's
now.
Rock's on Ozempic.
Yeah, that's why we're living in a different world right now. Because, I mean, if I could lose those 80 pounds right now, I'd be 6 feet under. But nonetheless, so what we got out of that was pure excitement and so much potential. Did we live up to it? No. But was there a way to live up to it without having Rock and Cody in the ring? No. So you have to adjust and you have to get the best out of what you can.
Yeah, I mean, to see them drinking the tequila there on the WWE.com exclusive or whatever, that was, I mean, I get it, but man,
I think for me that closed the door on the story.
Yeah,
I think when that happened, I thought they closed the door on that whole thing.
I think so. I think that's over with. But let's talk about your OMG moment of the year before we wrap up this episode.
Biggest surprise of 2025. Oh my God. You know good and well when you saw this happen that you were floored. Your jaw was 3 feet lower than you were standing because it was on the floor.
Had it been who the IWC thought it was going to be, my jaw would have been on the floor, especially with him climbing the cage that way at War Games.
Yeah, so that would have been impossible. Now, but had he come out there and had we heard break the walls down, then that would have been the oh my God moment. But that's not what we got.
Nope.
But the oh my God moment of the year for me was just last week. I mean, they took the whole year to culminate this event for me. But when Austin Theory unmasked as the masked man that cost the good guys the War Games match, I said, oh my God, I never would have thought it, except I always thought it.
In the immortal words of my podcast host, Frank, 4 letters, 1 word.
Uh-huh.
Yuck.
Yeah. So... Hey, obviously, I'm being sarcastic AF right now. I'm into the show on a funny note,
right?
Because we predicted Austin Theory the moment that he came out there. Everybody said, wasn't Austin Theory supposed to be associated to this group a little while ago?
Yep.
How much you want to bet it's going to be him?
Yep.
And instead of swerving us, instead of angling us, instead of doing anything different, they said, you know what? It's the end of the year. We got Christmas break coming.
Let's just throw whoever in.
Yeah, they're like, we ain't trying to invent no new stuff right now. We're going to just coast into the new year, and we'll worry about that around Rumble. So they just gave us Austin Theory and said, you know what? Fill that role, bud.
So I'm gonna go out on a note for this, looking back at the year 2025.
All right.
Wait,
don't go out too far, because that's probably going to be our topic for next year, because we've got nothing else.
No, I'm just going to say it like this. Hunter, Austin Theory ain't it, boss.
I mean,
it could have been anybody else from NXT, and I would have been like,
it could have been everybody else from NXT. It could have been Ricky Saints from NXT, and I would have been all over that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Austin Theory, look, nothing against Austin. Austin Theory, it just ain't clicking with me as a fan. It ain't clicking.
So here's the thing. I'm going to explain it to you, and then we're going to sign off.
All right.
This is pretty much the basic way to put it.
All right, let's hear it.
Austin Theory was a Vince McMahon guy, right? Like Vince actually saw the future in Austin Theory, right?
Yes.
Triple H every night sleeps with a McMahon, so the genetics just carried over. He had no choice in it. Triple H didn't even know what happened to himself. I don't know if we can go anywhere else this year, so we're probably going to have to wrap it up. But that's what I'm telling you. The McMahon genetics just kind of spread into Triple H and took over his mind, because you all know when you're looking at Stephanie McMahon, you ain't thinking with your top brain.
Nope.
So that means that if the genetics spread that Austin Theory should be the guy, then Triple H fell right in tow.
All right, that's us looking back at 2025 in the rearview mirror. That's
probably getting us canceled for the year, probably sending us into the last episode of our wonderful career.
All right, everybody, thank you for listening to today's episode. Reach out on our social media platforms, drop us a line, let us know your thoughts, let us know what you're thinking. Also, again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Do it with your family. Do it to the best of your ability. Have a great time, and we'll see you in the upcoming year.
All right. Well, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you guys next year.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.